I, female 38, caught my ex-husband, male 41, having an affair the same week that I found out I was pregnant. The blow was devastating.
I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Should I get an abortion or should I stay with him for the sake of my baby?
I decided on getting a divorce and keeping my baby.
Ex-husband asked for a second chance but it just wouldn't do, so he moved out and in with his app, F25, within the month. I also started a new job with better pay but more flexibility. Now I'm becoming a single mother, but I had to work my butt off in the beginning to establish a good reputation before maternity leave.
What I gave birth to my baby, female 1. I was back at work after 3 months. Being a single mom with career was not an easy task. I hardly slept or ate for the entire first year. I lost all my baby weight plus 15 kilos more. That's 30 pounds for you guys.
My ex-husband and I have shared custody, but since she's still a baby we are waiting with the every other week arrangement until she's 2. But he visits to see her 2 to 3 times a week.
Mostly my mom or the nanny receive him. I just can't bear seeing him so frequently, especially when he brings his AP, now fiancé, with him. The few times I meet him he looked very oddly at me, asking if I had changed my hair or compliment my dress or something. Yesterday we had my baby's first b-day party. It was just the family and we held it at my ex-in-laws. With me, ex, his fiancé, his sister and my parents. Ex-husband was very irritated for some reason and just was there sulking the entire evening. After the cake his mother asked him why he's acting like he did and he said, nothing. When I asked him if he was okay he flew at me. He started yelling, telling me that I was the one who broke us. If I didn't let myself go and took care of myself half as much as I'm doing now nothing would have happened. Everyone was shocked and he stormed out in tears. I know what he said was a load of nonsense but it kept me thinking nonetheless. I have always been modest and rarely wore makeup. My style is basic black t-shirt and jeans but I would never say that I let myself go. I do look different now and wear dresses and more feminine clothes occasionally but I wasn't aware that I have started taking care of myself more. I just feel happy and at peace with myself now and maybe unconsciously trying to look nice because I want to start dating again? I feel guilty that he thought I was neglecting him. If I was it was never intentional and besides, even if I have started taking care of my appearances now I couldn't look 13 years younger. The advice I'm looking for is if I just should continue ignoring him or talk to him about his little tantrum. If I need to explain myself and how to move on from this. He's staying in my life. I don't want any of these tantrums thrown at me in the future. The top comments. You don't give a lot of background information about your relationship with your ex-husband, but it honestly just sounds like the divorce did wonders for you.
It doesn't matter if that is because of the divorce itself or just the fact that you naturally had to find yourself again afterwards, as all people do in that kind of situation.
What matters is only that you feel good about yourself, and that's not something you should ever feel guilty for. The first update. I can't find my old post. I must have deleted it. I'm going to give a shorter version here because I have had it with my ex-husband and I need help with how to act around him because I'm going crazy here.
I found out that my husband was having an affair with a coworker the same week I found out I was pregnant with my daughter.
My husband was my soulmate and this finding hurt me so much. I decided to get a divorce and keep the baby. My pregnancy was hard and I battled depression.
The first year of being a mom was the hardest but also the best year of my life. I was still heartbroken about my divorce but I was adjusting very well and I found a whole new purpose in life and another type of happiness I never knew I could feel.
I also started a new job. It was more work but more flexible hours and paid a lot better so it suited me, being a single mom. I can say that I'm very happy and content now. My husband opposed the divorce and refused to sign at first. He wanted us to work things out, but I was so in love with him and that made forgiving him impossible. He moved on soon with his AP and they're engaged now. I have however noticed that he really did not like seeing me thriving. I have full custody of my daughter for the first 3 years because we thought shared custody at her young age isn't fair on her.
Instead he comes and visits her 4 to 5 times a week. Often my mom, who is helping me with my baby, receives him. But on the few occasions I'm home when he visited, he would comment my looks, compliments my outfit, or ask if I have done something with my hair, etc. I've lost a lot of weight. It was harmless in the beginning, but he became angrier and more annoyed with me, and at my baby's first birthday he threw a tantrum because I looked good in a black dress. We celebrated at my ex-in-laws. It was my in-laws, my parents, my son-in-law and her family, and my ex and his fiancé.
My father-in-law told me I looked great. My ex was not happy about that. He started yelling at me in front of everyone, telling me that I broke us, and he stormed out in tears. This was a few weeks back. I asked him to give my daughter and me a break and not visit until he could be civil. He told me I couldn't forbid him from seeing his daughter. Now my ex-mother-in-law comes and takes my daughter to her place so he could see her. He came to my apartment yesterday to talk. He was basically angry because I could forget him and move on so easily. I didn't know what to say. I just started crying and kicked him out. None of what happened was something I wanted or planned. I never wanted my baby to grow up in 2 different homes and to never experience the love her parents once had for each other. I have moved on because I want my baby to have a happy life, and that's what's making me glow, as he so resentfully put it. I want him to understand that we have to get along because that's the least thing we can give her.
He has moved on with a different woman and I chose to move on with myself. How can I make him open his eyes?
He needs to start thinking of her and put her needs first because she didn't ask to be born to this mess. Any advice is appreciated save for getting back together with him. I have thought of couples counseling, but we're divorced so I don't know. The top comments. Next time he brings it up, remind him. He was still with you when he had an affair and he's now engaged to said affair partner. He made it easy to move on because he cheated. Call him out. Don't let him forget he's the reason all of this happened. Final update. Thank you for listening to all my woes. Sometimes when you're immersed in your own problems you forget that there are others who has gone or are going through similar experiences. I mean, my family has been so supportive, but I'm glad I dumped my crap here because let me tell you this. I have realized that I have been so naive and need to do a lot of learning about parenthood and being a single mother.
I can never plan or control everything in my and my baby's life. I can only try, and whatever I do there will be a lot of surprises and things that I haven't expected turning up happening, and it's fine.
There's also no one right way to raise a child. I tried so hard to make things perfect, because of the guilt that I couldn't give my baby the life I thought I could give her.
I can't control or change my ex-husband, and I don't even think I have any right to do so.
I can only change my life, and right now he's being toxic and I don't want that. I need to cut the cord and go no contact completely with him. I don't know why he's being like this, and I'm not sure it would make a difference if I knew the reason.
For Both's sake I need to distance myself.
We have shared custody, but because of her small age she will be living full-time with me the first 3 years. That was the agreement. He will from now on see her at his parents' houses instead of coming to my place several times a week, and stay as long as he wants. He is never allowed to talk to me outside of the subject of our baby. And only via text.
Nothing about us/me. My looks, my dress, neither the positive or the negative will be tolerated. For him, I'm a stranger now and he has no right to do or say any of the things he's been saying and doing since the divorce.
I have told him all of this via email because I don't want to see him. He asked to meet but I refused. He has written back that he understood and he will keep away. He has also apologized for stepping the line. He just still saw me as his family, and he was hurt. I didn't answer.
I hope everything is fine now and that he behaves.
I also need to rid myself of the resentment and bitterness that I feel towards him. I loved him and I still do, and I am so angry and hateful towards what he's done, but this is life. People change and fall out of love and it's okay. I need to move on. The top replies.
I don't believe I saw your initial post, but I've caught up on everything, plus your post comments. I'm glad that you are putting these measures in place to completely distance yourself from him. Although he said that he still saw you as his family, I think you already know that he meant that he regards you as his property and he should be the only male to benefit / have a say concerning your body, sex and social life. He made his choice in secret by cheating on you, by staying with her and getting engaged, etc., and now he must live with the consequences. When you do start to date, I suggest you tell your new person upfront that you have a jealous and selfish ex.
Don't be surprised if your ex tries to reach out, via social media, to warn the guy against being with you. Gee, you are just a rebound until we get back together. We have a child together, so you will never truly have her, etc. The original poster replies.
I will keep that in mind because when I emailed him about him having no right to talk about my private life, how I looked, etc., his first reply was, "Are you effing someone?"
I didn't answer.
The second reply. A parenting app would be a better tool for communication than text. You can schedule in drop-in / drop-off dates, and on some of the parenting apps, communication recorded on them can be used in courts. Which is something to think about because given how controlling and erratic your ex is being, it might be good practice to have everything above board just in case. Communicating through a co-parenting app defo gives off the message of no personal relationship outside of our kid more than texting and emailing does. I don't have kids, but I've seen other posters recommend some in other co-parenting posts.
Maybe some other posters on here who co-parent might be able to suggest.
Maybe some therapy for you.
It seems even though you two are divorced and it was your ex who broke your marriage, you still feel a lot of guilt. And that's why you got emotional at his response to you moving on instead of shutting your door in his hypocritical face.
The third reply.
I'm going to give you some unasked for advice.
People like your ex do not talk like the rest of us.
Most of us say what we mean and expect others to engage with us honestly. Your ex does not. Your ex is a manipulator and everything he does has an ulterior motive. When he says something like, "Are you sleeping with someone?" or pitches a fit over a sexy black dress, he is not expressing an honestly held emotion or fear. He is attempting to provoke you into engaging with him emotionally.
First, because the opposite of love is not hate. It's indifference.
Your ex would much rather you engage with passionate hatred than nod in calm agreement. Hate is easily flipped back to love. It's movement that he can redirect or ECT.
Indifference is the opposite.
He wants you to be a raging river, and instead you become the pylon sticking up out of the water. He can't do anything with that. When he says, "Are you effing someone?" he isn't asking about your sex life. He is deliberately provoking you into emotions. Indignation, anger over his infidelity, self-protective rage. So that he can have more to work with. "Are you effing someone else?" moves to, "I'm sorry. I just love you so much that the idea of you having sex with others just eats me up inside." And then your rage at that, because he's a piece of work, allows him to move to, we both clearly love each other, so let's just put the past behind us and kiss.
He's not confronting you.
He's trying to get you back on script. He has a scripted response for, you were effing someone else. He has a response for, I hate you. Every conversation is not about any real thing. It all exists to pull you back in. You know what he doesn't have a script for? Okay. He says, are you effing someone else? Your response is fairly immaterial here, because it's a stepping stone to saying, the idea of you with someone else just eats me up inside. And you say something like, okay, I'm sorry you feel that way, but it really isn't my business anymore. He says, you look good, and you say, okay, thank you, and move on.
He tantrums and you agree where agreement is meaningless and put in your best retail smile.
Court orders here are your friend, because they allow you to respond with, okay.
The court order addresses this, so we will abide by the court order, or, okay.
The court order does not address this, so let's continue on as we have and address it during our upcoming court date. He will get infuriated, and he will be unable to tell you why. Largely because, you aren't letting me manipulate you anymore, is a real conversation killer. It will be hard on you, especially as there will be extinction bursts to try and force you back on script. But this is the only way to handle people like this. It's called gray rock, and it's almost cliché now because it works.